This week in 1951, Jet magazine featured a story about this woman in its Mr. and Mrs. section. She truly stands as a testament to the fact that our parents' and grandparents' times were not as wholesome as they told us they were. The people involved in this story are not celebrities or politicians or anyone of significant historical importance. They are just plain old everyday civilians like you and me, who got involved in some hot mess. Well, maybe not exactly like us. I'll share their story, and then you can decide if they were like you. Let's get into it. But first, if you like these videos about the most scandalous people from yesteryear who make Ty's Hot Mess History a time capsule for the culture, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can know every time that I upload one of these videos or every time that I live stream. And comment, I subscribed, in the comments section so that I can say hello to you. Now, on to why you are here. Today's story comes from this issue of Jet magazine dated December 20th, 1951. The article is titled, "White Girl Steals $18,000 for Negro Boyfriend." And yes, for the record, these titles make me laugh too. And it reads, quote, Doris Keller, a 22-year-old white secretary at Detroit's predominantly Negro Bethlehem Temple Church, told police she embezzled $18,000 from church collections and helped stage a fake $9,300 holdup of the church because her Negro boyfriend, Cleve Gilmore, threatened to expose their relationship. The brunette said after she started going with Gilmore, who is now serving a prison sentence for importing women from Canada for immoral purposes, he demanded that she steal $400 for him. She said she gave him the money, but 4 days later he demanded more. After that, I had to give him $800 a month to keep him from telling, she said. Arrested after an anonymous tip that the holdup staged last March had been a fake, Miss Keller said she did not tell the bandit about $9,000 kept in another church safe because my religion wouldn't let me. Also under arrest is Detroit jail guard Edward Wells, allegedly hired to act as bandit in the phony holdup. End quote. So, before I get into any commentary, let's just go straight to the beginning of this story. When I publish these ordinary people scandals, you all always ask me if I have more info than these tiny paragraphs that Jet magazine gives us. Sometimes I don't. This time I do. This story was a pretty big deal in Detroit and it got a lot of press coverage. So, as Jet says, Doris helped stage a fake $9,300 holdup because her Negro boyfriend threatened to expose their relationship. Well, by the time that Jet got this story, it was December of 1951. But of course, when the story was first reported, when the fake holdup happened, nobody thought that it was fake. So we're going to go back to March 1951, and from there, I'll take you through the most important parts of this case. This issue of the Detroit Free Press from March 30th, 1951, tells us a lot of the money that was robbed from the church was the life savings of a lot of its members. And as to how the crime happened exactly, the writer wrote, quote, "The thug gagged and bound the church secretary to a chair before fleeing with the contents of a cash box." End quote. The thug! Lying ass Doris told the police that a man walked in with a gun and told her that if she screamed, she wouldn't live to tell it. He made her hand over the money, then he gagged her and tied her to a chair. She struggled for 20 minutes before the reverend arrived. Then he released her. One parishioner had given the church money to ensure a decent burial for herself, and of course her money was taken too. Well, it took police a while to figure it out, but this December 5th, 1951 edition of the Lansing State Journal shows that the police finally figured out that Doris was in on the scheme too. I love the opening paragraphs. They pretty much sum it up, reading, quote, "The treasury of Bethlehem Temple, an interdenominational church here, was looted of about $25,000 by its white girl secretary in a robbery shakedown plot with two Negroes." Oh my God! The secretary, Miss Doris Keller, 22, and Edgar Wells, 27, Negro guard at the Detroit House of Correction, was arrested yesterday and held for investigation of robbery. Police said Ms. Keller admitted taking the church funds and named Cleve Gilmore, 34, a Negro, and her former boyfriend as instigator of the plot. End quote. They're on to you, white girl secretary. Now, just for the record, I have to say that $25,000 in 1951 has the same buying power of $286,000 in today's 2022 money. And yes, you heard correctly that the friend who was in on the plot was also a prison guard. We also learned from this article that her boyfriend, who was behind the plot, was the son of a deacon of the church from where they stole the money. And he was already in prison at the time of this article, convicted on Mann Act charges for smuggling white Canadian women into Detroit for sexual purposes. You know, just a good old church boy. He took that money and bought a $20,000 home, which would have been pretty expensive at the time. And he bought himself an expensive car too. Now, this was one of those churches that didn't play about tithing. Check out this. Quote, "The church has a white and Negro congregation whose members are pledged to contribute 1/10 of their incomes to its support." Police said funds collected at services were turned over to Ms. Keller, who was required to make no accounting. End quote. She was never required to account for this money that the church took from its members. Wow. Just wow. And the police found out about the plot because lying Doris told them about it when she was being questioned. This story, dated December 8, 1951, from the Detroit Free Press, reports that the prison guard claimed that he was never in on it and had nothing at all to do with it. According to him, White Girl Secretary was a liar. So, in the phony holdup, $9,300 was stolen, but lying Doris admitted to stealing an additional $16,000 for her boyfriend. He told her that if she didn't, he was going to expose their relationship. Then all of Detroit would know that she had jungle fever. She said that she wasn't going down like that. So, boy, how much money do you need? And while this was going on, lying Doris's boyfriend was in prison for smuggling more white women into the country for immoral purposes. And he was married. And his wife was working on taking down somebody else. Check this out. Quote, "Gilmore's wife, Henrietta, 23, brought about the arrest of James R. Tutman Thursday night on extortion charges. Mrs. Gilmore said that Tutman, of 1440 Townsend, told her he could bribe a guard and get Gilmore released from the prison if she gave him money. A bar rendezvous was arranged by Mrs. Gilmore and police arrested Tutman there. Detectives said he admitted the scheme." End quote. For Gilmore to be such a criminal, he surely was attracted to women who loved telling the police everything. Well, they say that opposites attract. Anyway, this December 11th, 1951 story from the Detroit Press shows that the man who Gilmore's wife brought down was brought to justice quickly. He admitted that he was guilty. He was sentenced to 60 days for obtaining money under false pretenses. This article, dated December 14th, 1951, also from the Detroit Free Press, shows us our first photo of this wonderful boyfriend and husband that appeared throughout this whole saga. And it also gives us some more insight as to what he did with the church's money. Lying Doris testified that she and Cleve Gilmore spent some of the tithe money on days of the races, gambling. Here's a quote. "I gave Cleve about $15,000 besides the holdup money. We went to the races quite a lot and bet some of the money. Most of the time, we won." Gilmore's wife, Henrietta, 23, of 2060 Chicago Boulevard, who, like Miss Keller, is white, spoke to her husband in low tones and apparently without rancor before the examination opened. End quote. Then we have an article from this February 12, 1952 edition of the Detroit Free Press that gives us some of Lying Doris's testimony against her Negro lover, Cleve. She said that at first, she stole the money for him out of love. That's so sweet. Eventually, she stole the money for him out of fear. In April of 1950, he told her that he needed $400, so she stole it from the church and gave it to him. Then, she started taking money every week, twice a week, $100 on Mondays and $50 on Saturdays. The couple would use that money to take trips to the racetrack and to New York. They also used money to get expensive clothes for him and a $3,000 car for him. One thing that I didn't find in my research was any evidence of any big-ticket items that the boyfriend, Cleve, ever bought for Doris. In addition to being a liar, she was also stupid. Doris also testified that when she tried to stop giving Cleve the money, he beat her and threatened to reveal that she was stealing the church's money. Then, this story from the Escanaba Press, dated February 15, 1952, reveals that the testimony of lying Doris put these guys away. Her boyfriend and the former prison employee, who claimed that he wasn't involved, were both found guilty of conspiracy and larceny. Doris did not serve any time. That lying-ass, thieving-ass bitch was only held as a state witness until the trial was over. The jury was all women, and they only took an hour to find Gilmore and Wells guilty. Probably not a big deal to Gilmore, because he was already in prison for, among other things, using his wife's birth certificate to try to bring one of his prostitutes into the United States from Canada. Then there's this article from the Detroit Free Press, also dated February 15th, 1952, and yes, that is a man in a corset. Move over, Instagram baddies. This story lets us know that both Negroes were facing up to 10 years in prison. I did see one more source that says that they each got 5 years apiece, but the date on that article was sketchy, so I didn't include it in this video. Lying ass Doris made sure that her man had some money in his pocket. Do you know who else did that? Dorothy Dandridge, when it came to her second husband. I published a video about that story that you can see here. Are you a content creator, influencer, or blogger who feels like your platform could use an extra boost? Are you thinking about becoming a content creator but you don't know where to start and you want to be sure that you dot all of your I's and cross all of your T's? If so, Lailah Lynn can likely show you exactly what you need to get on your way. Her fun new class is called The Business of Blogging with Lailah Lynn, and in it, she is sharing the fundamental principles of blogging in 2022. Because let's face it, social media is a moving target, and what worked well 5 years ago is likely not what works well today. And with Lailah Lynn, you're getting the information from someone who is successful at putting the principles to practice on her own social media platforms, and she literally has the credentials to back it all up, as she holds degrees in social media marketing. Lailah Lynn is a multiple six-figure earner whose first social media marketing course helped this channel go from earning $30 a month to earning 5 figures a month. I'm ready to dig in my heels and learn even more so that I can earn even more. Are you with me? If so, hit my link at the top of the description box and join her class to access this amazing, affordable advice from a woman who knows her business, the business of blogging. If you have a business, product, service, YouTube channel, or social media account that you would like to promote on my channel, email me at tiwan@tisaidwhattisaid.com to get rates for advertising on my community tab, my live streams, and or my edited videos, just like this one. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ty Said What Ty Said channel. Please leave a thumbs up and comment so that we can get a discussion going. And share this video on all of your social media, especially your Facebook. That really helps me out a lot. And subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can know when my next video is ready for you. And if you don't like what I'm saying but you love it, feel free to hit that thanks button just below your video screen there and send me some
donations.
Yeah, baby. See you on the next video.